Hi everyone, welcome back to the Mindset and Muscle podcast. I'm your host Keshi, and Merry Christmas. So it's Christmas today. Super exciting. I hope you found nice little presents under the Christmas tree. I hope Santa was very nice to you this year and that your other loved ones also got plenty of nice things or even a little bit of nice things, but also plenty of love. So, hope it was a nice little day of sharing and that you have the rest of your day goes amazing as well. So, today we're going to be talking about what I've learned in those 25 days of posting one episode a day. So, you may or may not be aware that I started this podcast on December 1st, and I decided for a number of reasons that I'm going to post one episode a day until Christmas today, until December 25th. I'm actually recording that on December 24th, but that's one of the things that I'm going to be talking about in this episode. But anyway, so why first I wanted to have one episode a day? A couple of reasons. The first one is that I didn't want people coming to my podcast to just see nothing, like literally the first day, and then they have to wait another, like a whole week to get another episode. And then after after a month of me telling people about my podcast, they would come in and only see like 3-4 episodes. So I didn't really want that to happen. I wanted them to be able to come to the podcast and already have a feel of whether they like it or not, whether it's right up their alley or maybe not so much. If you're watching episode 24 or something, and we're going to talk about why it's not 25th. But if you're watching this episode, either it's your first one or maybe you've listened to a couple of ones before and then you notice that it's something that you actually like. So then thank you for being here. Either way, but also another reason is that I wanted to fail fast and fail forward. Now that doesn't mean that I want to fail and stop the podcast, but all the little obstacles that happen, all the little failures you could say that happen along the way, the things that I had to learn, I didn't want to take 3 months to learn it. I'd rather just kind of accelerate the learning a little bit more, and I definitely did. And those are the things that I learned in the 25 days of recording, publishing a podcast, one episode every day. So the first one is that, and it's pretty obvious, I knew this was going to happen, but it's hard. It's very hard. It's very challenging. It's very demanding. It's very hard to find the time to do it every day, and I have a full-time job as well, so it's not like I can just do it at any point during the day. I worked from like 8 to 5, and then so I go to the gym in the morning. I wake up at 4, at least up until now that was kind of my routine. Wake up at 4:30, go to the gym and things like that, and then go to work. So 8 to 5, I get home maybe around like 5:30, 5:45. And then I have to be in bed by like 9. Like I want to go to bed at 8:30, but I don't think I could like this month at all. So let's just say 9:30. But then I don't have a lot of time from like that 5:30 to that 9:30. And that's for everybody who has a full-time job. And even if you're going to the gym in the evening, then going to bed at like 10 or 11, it's still kind of like you only have a couple hours. So now being able to fit like recording an episode and editing and publishing every day takes kind of the whole evening, and then so it's hard and I'm coming home from work. Some days I'm more tired than others, and so in terms of time but also energy, you start to feel burnout after a while. When that in the first few days the adrenaline is so high, the motivation is so high, you're so excited, but then as it starts to drop, but I'm still committed to that goal, it feels tiring. It doesn't feel very fun anymore to have it that often. And I knew that, but it was a challenge for me. So I'm still grateful. And again, for the editing and things like that, it's hard. Like things happen. But so that's just, if everything was going perfectly, it's already hard. It's already taking a lot of time, a lot of energy. Now, the second point, and I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's 10 things that I learned in those 25 days. But the second thing is that we have different priorities and different phases of our lives. And that could apply to different days of the week or different weeks maybe. What I mean is that when you prioritize something, some other things can fall to the side. So one example would be Instagram. I haven't been posting on Instagram because I've been posting so often on here for the podcast that I don't have time to do anything else. Even taking those same like videos or episodes, some of them were audio, so taking the same audio and then cutting it up and making reels, which is something I want to do, but again, I don't have time to do that, or I didn't have time to do that at all because I was always focused on the next episode the next day, so there was no time. And also, I didn't write that as a point here, but I also noticed that people don't watch it, don't listen to it at this rate either, because everybody else has things to do. So an episode a day, people can't really catch up with that anyway. But again, that was more so to have to like populate the podcast, that now when it's one episode a week, but you want to listen to like two or like just whatever it is, you still have like already have like 25 episodes on the podcast, and now adding every week is going to be kind of better again, and kind of starting like 1 month of just having 4 podcasts at the end of the month. So that was kind of the why, but just different priorities. So sometimes my priority for the day might be like literally anything else. Like I could get like something could just come up. Like life happens. So my priority of the day could be like hanging out with my friends, or I had a day where I had to go out with my friends, or not I had to, but I went out with my friends. And then other days where when I had like family stuff, or maybe some work stuff, or maybe you get sick one day or things like that. So life happens, and you can't always prioritize everything, and you can't always prioritize the same thing all the time. So sometimes other things happen. So if you already have that as like a non-negotiable, if I had to post every day, no matter what, that would cause a big burden because everything else would have to wait. And it's okay when it's kind of like a challenge or a little phase, but when it's something that happens every day with no kind of endpoint in mind, that's not really something I want. Like, I want to have time to relax a little bit, or to prioritize other things, to learn some other things. I didn't really have time to work on my personal training course at all this month, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is something important to me. I should really catch up on that, but I really didn't, because again, I put that as a priority. So then other things, you can't prioritize everything at the same time, and that kind of speaks for itself. It makes sense. Point number 3 is that obstacles happen. So that could be sickness, like I talked about, or it could be one day maybe I recorded something and maybe the audio wasn't good, maybe something wasn't connected properly, and I checked when I'm recording. For example, right now I can see kind of the sound waves, so I know that it's picking up the sound, or I'm looking at my camera and I'm seeing that it is recording. But sometimes things happen. Maybe one day I'm really tired and I'm kind of stuttering more, so there's more editing that I have to do. I'm trying to really create podcast episodes where I have minimal to no editing to do, so maybe cutting out, like trimming out the front and the end where there's silence and things like that. But really, even if I'm messing up a little bit in the middle, I kind of want it to be like a conversation, so I keep going and it's okay, which is why I really love podcasts, kind of for that reason. It's a little bit more informal, more casual, more of a conversation again, although it just feels like I'm just talking and you're just listening. But either way, but some days that happens. Again, maybe I'm feeling burnt out. Maybe I'm feeling really tired, and I'm just, again, English is just not coming to me. There's more editing that needs to be done. Maybe when I was trying to sync that video that I do on my phone with the audio from that mic, which is to my computer, maybe I'm having trouble doing that editing because it's something new that I have to learn. And again, like I talked about, I don't have time for other things. So then I don't really have time to go and really watch a pretty lengthy episode about how to properly do that editing and syncing that video and that audio. And I become a little bit more impatient because, again, if I have to record it and then edit it and then publish it, and it takes time to also publish sometimes, and export and things like this, if I have to do all of that and then still go to bed at like 8:30 or 9 or 9:30, it gets stressful for sure. But again, some obstacles that might be in the way. More editing that could happen on one day. The video might not turn out good. The audio might not turn out good. Just so many things that could happen. Just technical difficulties. So, or let's just say one day, it's just, I don't know, just nothing recorded. So many things could happen. And when you have like that margin of kind of time that you have to do all of this is so limited, yeah, that's not a great idea. The fourth thing that I learned is that the audio is definitely so much better with a mic, and it's so much better to invest in one. So I started with, I think, the headset, my Beats Solo 3, I think that's what it's called. Well, not this one, obviously. But so that was okay. But then I changed to this mic, and then the sound was so much better. I think it is. Let me know how it is. I would, sometimes maybe I'm biased, so I would love to know what you're thinking when you're listening to this episode. Is it feeling natural? Is it feeling nice? Or is it like really difficult sound to listen to me talk like this? So I would say it's a lot better with a mic. I'm happy I invested in one. But that we have to take a little bit of time to kind of learn everything. So I have to take a little bit of time to learn which mic might be good and what else I need. For example, I just got this new toy set again today. Just a little, is it an amplifier or is it like a recorder? I'm not sure what it is, but basically I plug the mic into this thingy, and I can plug two mics into it, so that would be really helpful for guest podcasts, and then that sound goes into the computer. So because it's hard to be plugging two different mics, like USB mics, into the laptop and then plugging the headset, like there's only so many ports, I guess. But from what I understand, this makes it a lot better either way. So yeah. Besides that, the video, or point number 5 actually, the video is better, the video podcast, sorry, is better for both YouTube and Reels. So what I mean by that is, I noticed that if I have to choose between audio and video, since it's a podcast, I will choose audio. However, I would ideally like to have both. And it's more work, it's definitely more work. But if I take the time to learn how to sync it, I think it will not be that difficult, but I just need to take the time to learn how to sync it better, to do it better, because once I tried on Adobe Premiere Pro to sync it, and I don't know what I did, but the sound was really bad, and the audio was really bad, and the video wasn't very good either. So I feel like the video, was better on my phone than it actually turned out. So I was so disappointed. And I canceled my subscription, but now I'm thinking I should have just taken a minute to learn how to do it, so I might just go back to it. We'll see. But for now, what I'm doing, and I started doing that recently the last couple of days, is again taking that video again from my phone, because that is a better experience for YouTube. I do understand on Spotify, and again, a podcast, so the audio is still the most important, but for people watching on YouTube, I don't want to just having like the picture and just the sound, because YouTube is for watching. So I really want you to be able to see me and have the option at least. But also, I want to be able to use this long form content and cut out a few portions and like important points that I'm talking about that's giving tons of value and making it into a reel. So I really, especially when I'm going to go back to, not go back, but kind of start doing one episode a week, so then I'll have time to kind of cut it up, and throughout the week I will have the opportunity to have the same, like a few reels from that same episode of like the last week. I'll be able to add a few reels throughout the week about that, and that will make people maybe more interested in that episode if they didn't know much about it, but then maybe they'll hear something that really appeals to them. And that happens to me all the time. I watch reels and I'm like, oh, okay, that's really interesting, I'd like to learn more, and then I go and listen to that whole episode or things like that. So video is definitely better in that sense. So until I have it figured out how to properly sync the audio and the video and to retain that quality, I might just put this video on YouTube from my camera, so the sound might not be the best, but it would still be something for like Reels and YouTube and this audio. So the Spotify might still just have audio until I can figure it out. So maybe I need like a week or two to figure it out, but still kind of trying to work it here. So audio is better for podcasts, but video is better for YouTube and Reels. I've learned that in those 25 days because I actually experimented quite a bit with both. The sixth thing I learned is that done is better than perfect. On some days I finish the episode and I'm super happy, super pumped. I'm great value in that episode. And on 1 or 2 days I finished it, especially when I didn't plan and script it well. I finished it and I was like, oh, that wasn't my best work. But I'm not going to scrap the whole thing. I think done is better than perfect, especially now that I'm learning, that I'm still learning, and I think I will still be learning quite a bit. But I still think that done is better than perfect. So if you're starting to create content, if you want to start creating content, I would say just start before you're ready, start imperfect, start with what you have, and then go from there and improve from there. It's easier to see the little imperfections and then improve once you're actually doing it compared to if you're just going to think about it before you start. The seventh thing that I learned is that I prefer a little bit shorter episodes, maybe around 20 to 30 minutes. I don't necessarily like episodes being too short, like 5 minutes, just because when I listen to a podcast, I kind of want to listen to it on a drive to work or when I'm doing something. So when it's 5 minutes, it's like too short for me. Is it even long form content if it's just 5 minutes? But also one of the reasons that I started making long form content is because I had a lot more to say on a specific topic or specific topics than Instagram allowed me the time for. So I found that I was talking and it was 1 minute and 2 minutes, and then I couldn't post like a 5 minute something on Instagram, or it's just nobody really listens to a 5 minute video on Instagram, even if you were kind of allowed to post it. I'm not sure, but that's just way too long for Instagram. But people listen to or watch videos that are like 20 minutes long, or I listen to podcasts that are an hour long too. But I found that recording something that's 50 minutes long, it's a little draining for me, but also just the whole aspect of it. I'm like, some episodes need the 50 minutes, but sometimes, and most of the time, I think 20 to 30s is the sweet spot. I think it might even be the sweet spot for listeners, but again, feedback, super welcome, super appreciated. Let me know what you prefer better. But I think from what I've kind of seen those days, 20 to 30 minutes is great for me to record and being able to say whatever I need to say about the topic, but also it's not too long for you to listen to or for just everything. Also kind of exporting the file and editing if I have to do anything. So yeah, I like 20 to 30 minutes better. So hopefully I can stay around that time again. Some of them might be a little shorter, some might be a little longer. Guest podcasts are probably going to be longer, probably around the hour. Because if I have the opportunity to interview somebody, a professional on a specific topic, I don't want to just be rushed throughout. They have things to say, maybe I have questions to ask and things to add. So then it will definitely be longer, probably around an hour or so. But again, that's kind of a little bit different. So I think that's kind of normal and kind of anticipated and expected. The eighth thing that I learned is that I can do it. I set myself a challenge and I was able to do it, and that just added up to my pile of kind of evidence of proof that I have that I can do hard things. So now, there are 2 days that I didn't post an episode. One day, I don't know what happened, I think it was 2 different reasons. I think one day I was just like too tired to record or to do something. And then the other day I might have had an episode planned or something. But then I didn't want to talk about it anymore. But also I had something that came up suddenly. So that thing would take like an hour and a half. So I had physio first and I had to complete that thing. So my 3 hours that I have between like from coming home from work until I go to bed, more than that was already kind of taken doing the other thing. So I didn't have time to do that podcast. And I could have chosen to stay up and do it and publish and edit and publish it and go to bed an hour or so later, an hour and a half. But I wouldn't compromise my sleep, and I was already getting maybe like 6.5 hours, and back to 6.5 to 7 instead of like 8. I'm not gonna go lower than this. My health is still more important. My sleep is still more important. So I wasn't gonna do it for this case. So 2 days where I didn't have an episode. I will try to post 2 other videos tomorrow, or episodes tomorrow. We'll see. I might keep it a little bit shorter too, but yeah, I might just still have the 2 episodes tomorrow so that the 25 kind of is published. I'm a little confused, to be honest, when I see that this one is episode 24. So did I only miss one, or am I just counting wrong in that sense? Like, if I started episode 1 on the 1st, did I add 2 episodes on one day? I'm not entirely sure, because I'm pretty confident that I missed 2 days, but it's 25th today and we have 24th. So it just looks like I missed one, but either way, tomorrow I will post at least one more episode, maybe 2, and then as from there it will be an episode a week, so then it would be into the New Year's after this. So I have 2 videos that I already planned. I might just post that. They're not about muscle part, they're about the mindset part of the podcast. So I think one is about glowing up. Or did I already talk about this? I'm not entirely sure. I'll see if I already talked about glow ups. The other one is about how to get over a breakup. And I was considering if I should just kind of postpone that one and start to talk more about nutrition and fitness for like right now. But I don't really want to bring that, like that relationship stays in 2023. So I don't want to kind of bring it forward in 2024. But also I feel like I learned quite a bit like going through a breakup, so it will help other people going through it. So I think it's a good episode to post still, to learn how to get over one a little bit quicker. The 9th thing, actually before I even go to the 9th thing, yeah, I said like I can do it, but also it kind of showed me that if I can do 1 episode a day, I can definitely stick to 1 episode a week. So that's also something else that I'm really happy I started out with, like a little bit harder. So now 1 episode a week will feel like a breeze, hopefully. The 9th thing that I learned is that planning is super important. Super important. When I don't have a plan, the days that I didn't have a plan or even a script, because sometimes it's easier for me. I'm still actually trying to find which is better. If I have just little notes like today and then just kind of talking to the camera about it, or if I have a full script. The advantage with having a full script, especially when I just had audio, is that there's less stuttering for me, less tangents. Sometimes there was still tangents. I would like all the time, I think in every episode, I would end up talking about things that were not on the script anyway. But it just allows me to be more structured and kind of stay on point more. However, I do like just having the bullet point and looking at the camera and just talking. And I think in those 25 days, I got better at this. There's definitely less stuttering. Today, I don't think I will have to edit anything out. Again, just trimming the beginning, trimming off the end for the silences and things like this. But I'll completely confident just posting that video out like it is. So that's great. I think that just took a little bit of practice, and henceforth, I will probably just add the points here and just post it. And just post it and just go ahead and film it and record it, and that it will be fine. So, but plan either way, whether I have a script or just like bullet points, planning is still important, because when I actually don't have any plan at all, it's pretty difficult to film an episode. The episodes come out not only shorter, but also I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place. And sometimes I'm not providing as much value as I would have if I write it down, because often when I'm planning, more things come to mind. So sometimes when I'm not planning and I'm not writing out notes, when I finish the episode, then I have the feeling of, when you have an argument with somebody, and then after the argument, the next day or the evening of, then you're like, oh, I should have said that. Sometimes maybe I have that feeling when I'm recording a podcast that I didn't take notes about. Then I think, oh, I should have said that in that podcast. It didn't actually happen quite that much, but I feel like this is more likely to happen if I'm not taking notes. And the 10th thing that I learned is that batch recording or bulk recording is amazing, as well as scheduling when the podcast is going to come out. So, instead of recording one episode today, I'm recording 2. Because tomorrow is Christmas, or today for you is Christmas, and I want to spend that time with my family instead of being alone in the basement recording for a podcast that people are probably going to listen on a different day than Christmas anyway. Because as I talked about before, we have different priorities on different days, and on Christmas and it's family, friends, and things like that. So I don't really want to be recording on Christmas Day. That is why, that's one of the reasons why I love batch or bulk recording, because you can just record once, especially when I'm going to go to one episode a week. I could record all 4 episodes in one day potentially if I have 4 solo episodes, and then I have it for the whole month. It's kind of out of mind, out of sight, and I can already schedule when it's going to go out. So there was one day that I did that because the day after I knew my whole evening was booked. So I already filmed and everything, and I edited everything, and I scheduled one out for the next day. And that day, I didn't have to worry about anything at all. It just went out at like 6:30 p.m. or whenever I wanted it to go out. And then it was perfect. It gave me so much peace, so I will definitely be using that a lot more. And that's also why I like shorter episodes better, because I can sit down and film for 2 hours, and that would make me around like 4 20 to 30 minute episodes. But if every episode is 15 minutes to an hour, then I can't really sit down for 4 hours straight and film or record podcasts. I just get drained after a while. So that's also why I like a little bit shorter, but 20 to 30 minutes I think is ideal. Or let's just say 20 to 40 minutes. And that's kind of the 10 things that I learned in those 25 days. I have a bonus one about guest podcasts. I've only done one so far, but I've noticed that I'm good at being a host, or I'm comfortable, I would say. I'm not going to say good because I've done one, and maybe you guys think that I wasn't that good at being a host. Maybe I should have asked for better questions. Maybe I should have talked more or talked less or things like that. Those things might come as I get more feedback and things like that, but I was super comfortable being a host. So there was no stuttering. There was nothing that I really had to edit out of it. It just came easily. The conversation flew really well. It was a lot easier since I knew the person already, but just in general, I think with the few bullet points of questions that I prepared before, again with the planning, that I'm going to ask them, I really, really enjoyed and felt comfortable hosting that episode, and I'm really looking forward to having a lot more guests, like I said, on my podcast. Obviously, I will also have tons of solo episodes. That's fun too. But yeah, so then I might have another episode later of things that I learned about guest podcasts. For example, how it goes with the setup. I'm already learning different things about online guests versus in-person guests or things like that. But in general, those are the 10 things, actually 11 things that I learned from posting one episode a day in December. Super grateful to myself, I guess, for taking on that challenge. It wasn't easy, but it was so worth it. I learned so much. Like the 10 points that I mentioned, yes, but I just grew so much, I feel, in those 25 days. And I have a lot of other growth coming. I have a lot more things that are going to keep improving again. We're all here improving 1% every day. So I'm super excited for what comes next. But yeah, that was what I learned in those 25 days. And from now on, actually, again, you're going to find an episode or maybe 2 tomorrow But then after that, we're gonna go back or go start having one episode a week, and hopefully then it's gonna be a lot more guests. But I think it's gonna go back and forth because I do enjoy solo episodes too. So we'll see how it goes with guests, with online guests versus in-person guests. I don't really know how people feel about coming in to record something, or they would prefer doing it online. That's totally fine too. So I'm gonna start learning more about that aspect of it now. But for now, thank you very much for listening to me. If you like the podcast so far, if you like this episode, please give me a 5-star review. That really helps me out. Or subscribe if you're on YouTube or even Spotify or things like that. I think you can subscribe. And if you want to apply to work with me as your nutrition coach, the link is in the show notes for you to apply. So I'd love to have you, love to work with you, start 2024, I guess, like, start it on a bang. So that would be awesome. If you want to lose weight, let me know and we can have a free consultation call and see how it goes from there. But for now, enjoy the rest of your Christmas if you're watching this on the 25th, or enjoy the rest of your day or night. So I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.